What's up, guys? It's Missy. I'm back with another SimCity Buildit video, and today we're going to be talking about a very important issue with the contest of mayors. Okay, so many of you may have noticed this week has sucked. And you're probably sitting there thinking, really, Missy? No kidding. Okay, look, there's something I've been studying for a very, very, very long time, and the reason that I say use the word studying or even analyzing is because I have no real fact that it is in fact this way, but I will share with you the proof that I have. Okay, so as many of you know, I've been studying the game's algorithms for years and years, and for 5 years the contest of mayors has remained the exact same, minus a couple of additions, you know, with the regional maps and with the war feature, of course. So, you know, as the game progressed, they obviously added new features within the game, and then they were able to add new assignments within the game, which kind of, you know, changed the contest of mayors. But that I've ever seen in the 5 years that I've been playing, I've never seen them twerk anything within the game that was already there. Now, after my channel kind of took off and everybody started doing really good, not that, you know, my channel's super huge or anything, but after I started to notice a lot of people, you know, winning the contest and really noticing a difference in a lot of people saying like, hey, you know, I'm not spending any money anymore. I've restarted, blah, blah, blah. I started to notice that every single change that I had discussed, and not change, every single thing, like when it came down to like a rule on a particular task. For example, like the VU task. I had told people that you needed to clear that task immediately because it will come back, you know, worth about 3,000 points, and if you don't, then it'll be an issue. And everybody that was in my training course, they had been following these contest mayors training rules for like 4 months, and they had all won every single week following those rules. And then all of a sudden, I finalized the contest of mayors guide that I had put together. It was the first day that I had finalized it. It was the day. And all of a sudden, I start getting text messages from everybody just blowing up that their game's fucked up. And I'm like, well, this would stand to reason that my first thought was correct. And I had already told CPT about this. I had never told anybody else about it because I had no proof of it, and I know that if it was to spread like a rumor, it would spread like a wildfire, and I knew that if it was incorrect, then it's like, I don't want to spread out stuff that isn't true. So for the last, I don't know, 8 months or so, I've trained a lot of people, okay? All I see is screenshots. I see them in my sleep. That's all I see. I see thousands. I'm not kidding you. Thousands of screenshots a week of the contest. Okay, so trust me when I tell you what I'm about to say to you. It's like a weather front. It's a bad week or a good week in the SimCity Buildit community. And I'm going to prove it to you, okay? I have before me a shit list from EA from each and every one of my trainees. Now, keep in mind that every person that I train is pretty much in the Mega League, meaning I see 75 tasks from each trainer. That doesn't include my own list, what I see on any kind of forums, what I see in general, and what I see just from people hitting me up on Facebook randomly. I'm not kidding you, I see thousands of screenshots every single week. And what's interesting to me is that all of them have the same list. Not, of course, identically, because they're all making different choices. But now you have all of these players making the same list with the same choices, and it's just a matter of who fucked up first kind of thing, you know? And it's not the same exact order, of course. But to some extent, you would have to basically, you would have to release it that way in order for it to be equally fair to everybody. You wonder how the same people are always in the top at the end of the week, right? Now, when it comes down to like the top 2 every week and they're like within 100th of each other, like 100 points of each other or something, then yeah, that probably might have to do with luck. Okay, then I would say that might have to do with luck. But when you're talking like people that can barely score 40,000 points in a week, talking, I had a bad week, it's unlucky. No, dude, you just don't know what you're doing, you know? Or, oh, I never win because I'm unlucky. No, dude, that's not how this is. So what you need to realize is, how often do you get a donut task for 800 points? Not very often. Really, you don't. So last week, everybody had that in their list, okay? It was either last week or the week before last. And then the week before that, it was the nails. And it's just little things that I've kind of picked up on. And I start to, because I train so many people, I can almost see what's coming. It's crazy. I'll tell CPT, I'm like, so-and-so had this when they did that. So I know that this is right around the corner. It's coming, dude. And within 2-3 tasks of me saying that, boom, he's smacked with it. Now, it's the people that go quickly that basically set the scene for all the other players. So one of the things that many of you have experienced this week, and I don't even have to talk to you to know that, is you all have had a lot of factory tasks this week, okay? They've just been swarming your flipping list like crazy. And I can't tell you how many players have had midway upgrades with a swarm of factory tasks. Now, then everybody at the same exact time, within the same, 2 hours, everybody got hit with a high upgrade war task that they had to let sit because war was over. And one of the guys was not in my club. One of my guys, he was very first in the training course. Now I'm going to show you guys some of these screenshots. Now I had advised him to park it because I had a feeling, first off, let me explain something to you. One high task will not block anything good from happening, but here's what is happening. It's not one high task you have to worry about. It's all the other tasks right around 2,000 points plus that high task. You're not guaranteed to have 2-3K tasks in your list. And you're not guaranteed to have 4 2K tasks. That's just an average. That's just, what you normally see at the beginning. So that's what is possible. But honestly, on average, you usually have about 3 between 1,700 and 2,000. And then every now and then, the game kicks you something a little extra, like a 2,400, or like here's the 3K task to kind of bring your points back up. So people who focus on their average, they have the hardest time playing the contest because they are so focused on their average that it stresses them out to the point where they make bad decisions. They constantly think about, I got to cancel, or I got to do something. My average. And it's like, look, man, usually on average, it levels itself out. The week that I did the contest of mares, when I posted up my week, and I pulled the 2K average like I said I would, previous to even doing the contest. That was a promise I made to you, and I kept it. Now, I held exactly my 2K average because I knew I would be able to. Okay? Here's the thing. With low-level players, you guys are trying to manipulate the game into something that it's not. And then each and every time you guys complete something, it's another kick. For example, I'm going to explain what that means here in just a minute, but I want to show you something. So right here, which apparently I only took a screenshot, which I shouldn't have because it's super tiny. Okay, so right here, nope. I was trying to explain there it is. Okay, here is Steven's list, okay? So here you can see that this is double points week. So everything obviously is cut in half. So we're going to assume that this is a 1,000 point upgrade. We would leave that sit under all circumstances. The Paris is 800 points. The Tex is 1,200. The upgrade is 1,200. And the war attack is 3,000. Now he's done exactly 4 tasks since, I think about 4 tasks since he's had that, 4 tasks since he's had that upgrade there. Or, yeah, that war card, launch war card there. So, in that 4 tasks, he was in a different group. They had already ended war, and our war was 1 hour basically from ending. Then we had a 12-hour prep and a 12-hour attack or a 12-hour cooldown and a 12-hour prep. Bleh. Wow, I haven't had my coffee yet. 12-hour prep and a 12-hour cooldown. So that's 24 hours plus the additional hour. That's like a ridiculous amount of time, 25 hours to have to just sit around and wait. Now, because of his list, I didn't really see any other way around it because of what I knew was going on with all the other players. I knew they weren't having any luck canceling. They weren't having any luck doing any of their factory tasks. I just knew that this week was just shit. And so I basically advised him to park it. Okay? Now, at this time, everybody's been kind of moving pretty quickly this week probably because I've kind of been getting on him about being a little faster about stuff. Now, some of them have been going slow and some of them have been going quickly. So that has helped me be able to kind of see like, okay, what's in store for these other players. So everybody's been coming to me complaining, my list sucks, Yeah, what? Thank you. The universe hates me when they do this. And I'm going, it's not just you. It's not just you. And they all think it's just them. And it's not. Trust me, it's not. And some of these people have been able to do their war tasks. Some of them haven't. And it hasn't made a difference. Okay? Now, by the time you get around to doing the war task, hopefully you're through the worst of it. Because it seems to pick up right around about 10 tasks remaining is when it starts to really pick up again if you've made all the right choices, that is. Okay? Now, here's the thing. He's got a 3K war assignment, and he's got a 2400 Latin, okay? And then he's got a 1600 residential, and then he's got a 1200 epic, some some coins, a monster he wouldn't touch, a feed task, which is crap, and then he's got, he's got like a 1200 feed task or 1300 roughly, and then he's got 1000, 1000, 1000. So he really does have room for something better to pop up if he can get something better to pop up. But here's the problem. We're looking at now type of task, the variety of task in which he can complete. So right now, he is not in war. Okay, so if you write down on a piece of paper every single type of assignment that a 24 level player has available, okay? Now take that piece of paper and cross off anything non-premium. Now cross off any premium you cannot touch. What's left? Not much. Now cross off war. Now what's left? Not shit, huh? Yeah, okay. So you've got factory, production, war, which would include, upgrading war cards, launching common, rare, legendary attacks, right? You've got coins, which is non-premium, monster non-premium, keys and repair, both non-premium, and then you've got upgrades, which can flood your list, and those are premiums, which are usually in your list and usually worth a lot because SimCity wants you to get, into a point where you're screwing yourself over. Okay? So if you can't do war, you can't do upgrades, you're not doing epics, and you're not doing any non-premium, or you're not looking for any non-premiums. What exactly is it you're trying to have done here? Are you trying to open up a 3K production assignment? Because that doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's extremely rare to get a 3,000 point production assignment that is gonna just save you. Like, okay, you get one, yeah, but you're not gonna just get a flood of them. You're not gonna just get back to back to back to back, here's 4,000 point ladders or something, or whatever, So, when you're in a rut like this, why are you even continuing to move forward? You're just tiptoeing around this problem and screwing yourself over. So I told him to park it. That's what my advice to him was that he needed to stop trying to make something happen because it wasn't going to. I'm looking at his list going, what the hell are you even going to do? A couple production tasks, like, at best, And then I had Rose, okay? She had the same issue. Now, I don't know where her screenshot is exactly in this mess. I've got all kinds of people's screenshots here. But Rose's issue was that she had gotten a monsters task very early on. Okay, now this here is a prime example of what happens when you don't do as I say and you don't level up as quickly as you should and you dilly-dally around. Now, not that she did that by any means, but she had just restarted her city. So this is a new city and she's speed leveling. But part of the issue is that a lot of people, they camp low level because they think it'll help their chances of increasing storage. They must think I just don't know what I'm talking about when I say that they're perfectly fine to go up. And they sit and they camp way too damn long. Okay? Way too damn long. And they burn through all their resources. They don't earn hardly any work hard assignments or, work cards. So here's what happened to Rose. She got to her first week in Mega. Okay? Now, being a new player in speed level, she's done everything right. In that regard, she has. But I don't know what she's been doing as far as her war stuff goes. Because here's the thing. She has one high war card attack. One. And I'm like, okay. So the problem was that she had like a comic hand and something else. But the main attack that the monster was able to use, the only one that she could use on him was like Mellow Bellow, I believe. And the problem with that was that she had to launch like 4 times. And it would have exceeded the health that the monster had. Not to mention, she wouldn't have been able to finish because of the energy regeneration. Not to mention the amount of war items needed to do that. Now, it was kind of a problem because now it's like, okay, well, how are you going to get the war cards that you need to do that 5,000 point monster task? And that was something that she needed to get done right away at the very beginning of the contest. So she goes to the war screen. She sees that she can purchase war cards, but it would take like 500 cash, and then she wouldn't have any cash at all for next week to play CoM. And I'm like, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to make that kind of sacrifice. You're better off launching as many jackpots and launching as many war attacks as you can this war, and then trying to unlock as much of the VU pass and spending maybe $2.99 because she had already purchased the VU pass. Now, she launched a couple of times and she didn't get what she needed, so she was forced to cancel. Okay, it was better to cancel this stupid monster at 2,500 points than it was to put herself bankrupt just to do one stupid task. Okay? Now she proceeds on, and because she hasn't earned enough of those war cards and hasn't stacked that up, she gets hit with a, I believe an upgrade war card. I believe that's what it was, and she couldn't do it. And then she got hit with another launch war attack that she couldn't do. Now, she's not the only one. So now, at this time, I've got her, Steven. Now, another person in my training program has got hit with a war task, but hers is only at 4,000 points. It's only 2,000 point task sitting there. Just one. And it's not blocking. A 2,000 point task is not going to block off anything good from happening. Okay? And if it was, then you would be better off just canceling it. If you truly believe that, you would be better off canceling it and getting it out of your way. But if that's the case, then how is it not any other thing in your list that's causing that? How is it that you're able to go and do... How is it you're able to leave upgrades in your list all the time and still be just fine? You think that's a coincidence? That you can leave upgrades in your list at 2,000 points as long as there's not like 3 or more of them and still continue to do just fine? No, that's not a coincidence. Now, here's the thing, though. You start to get to the point where you don't have any other option, and then it's like people don't pay attention, what it is that they're waiting for. The only other tasks that you're going to get that are premium are London deliveries and VU. Launch VU, right? So think about that for a minute. If the launch VU is spawning at a really crappy rate, what are you depending on here? A bunch of London deliveries? What if you got thrown into a loop? Would you be happy if you had a back-to-back loop of London? No, you wouldn't. Why? Because it would run you bankrupt by the time you got a substantial amount of points. If you could pick right now, at the beginning of the contest, to run back-to-back 3K London, 3K Tokyos, would you do it? No, because by the time you got done, you would be spending more than you would be gaining by the time that you finish those, right? So then you've got cargo, which is a non-premium. Again, leaving really nothing for you guys to do. So we're going to look at somebody else's list here. This person has a 1,500 feed task. She has a 1,600 roughly sugar task, 1,000 upgrade, 3,000 launch club wars, and a 1,600 residential building, or he or she, I think this is CPT's list. Okay, and then we've got a 1,200, looks like a flight, then it might be cargo. I'd have to go back. Oh, yeah, it's cut off. Okay. Then we've got textiles, chemicals. Now, the nails, okay, so I know who this is. So the nails here, they're sitting at 600 points. Now, the question is there, yep, there is another one at the bottom of the list that can hold that value. How many times have I said this in my videos? If you have 2 tasks at the bottom of the list, meaning you have to have at least, usually you have to have at least 1 task in your list worth 800 points or lower. I've said this many times, right? Okay. So if you have that, and you have another task, you can rotate it as long as you have one holding its placement. You have a pretty good chance of it not coming back with a low value. So if she needed to, she could absolutely rotate that nail in. Absolutely. And it might open up something good. Now, typically what you'll notice with the game is it tries to keep your score up and down. You know, it tries to keep you very leveled. Have you ever noticed at the very beginning of the contest, your average is excellent, right? They give you a good start usually, and then you zoom up, and then it starts to taper off, and you're like, I was doing so good, and you were all stoked, and you're like, I'm doing so great, and then it starts to level you down. Every single week, it does that. Every single week, okay? It does not keep you running steady. And you know what? I played high level CoM where you have to, I played for months and months trying that. Do the highest task, point task in your list method. It doesn't work. It does not work. And I'll tell you why it doesn't work. Because you have other tasks at the bottom that need rotated in. So what ends up happening is you end up not having any opportunity. And you just sit there and you screw yourself over. And by doing that, you force yourself to do an assignment that you're maybe not prepared for because you're trying to do only the highest task, you know? And then what you'll notice is you finally break the cycle because your average has plummeted and you say, screw it, I'm going to do one of these really low value tasks. And then all of a sudden you get a 3K task and you're like, wow, why'd that happen? That's why that happened, because you were blocking off all your premiums. I can't tell you how many people have asked me why that happens. And I tried to explain it to them, and now they get it, and they're like, oh, okay. There really is a technique to this, but it really does have a lot to do with what level you are and where you're at in the game. Not everybody's in the same position. For instance, that's another reason I'm doing this video. Okay, CPT. And I can't remember if this is his list or not. I don't think this one is his. Okay, no, I know who this is. All right, so this person, she has 20 tasks remaining, okay? She's got 125,000 points. So, let's see. She's got a 1,200 repair, a 1K launch, 800 Paris, a very nice legendary task sitting there, but war is over. So she's also got hit with that one high war card. Then she's got an 800 epic project, a 1,200 glass, a low point textiles task, low point chems, monster. Wait. Can't tell if that's somebody else's. Yeah, okay, that's not hers. Okay, so low point upgrade, and yeah, that looks like the only part of hers that I have. So here's the thing. Again, noticing a pattern here. She's got one high work hard with it surrounded by a ton of low point factories. Looking familiar? Now we've got this one. Okay. So this person has 6 tasks. So he is, okay, so I had somebody mixed up earlier. So he's the one that has the low work hard and he's been getting hit hard. And you know, for the last couple of weeks, he's been really hard on himself because he hasn't been running a very good average. And I've been preoccupied on training other people. I really haven't been focused on his training at all because he had aced it. He had graduated basically. The first training course, he graduated. Then when I finalized the Contest of Mayors thing, everything changed. Everything. And it changed slowly, you know. First it was one thing, next it was the next thing, and then within a couple of weeks, the Contest of Mayors had basically just turned itself upside down. We had one week where everybody got like 6 3K tasks all at once at the beginning of the week. It was wild. It was crazy. Everybody's like, what the hell? I've even seen people with double monsters in their list. Now, that's not supposed to happen, but it has. Okay? You know, weird things happen with this game. And it sent him backwards because then it was like everything he thought he knew, it wasn't like that anymore. And so instead of seeing it like, okay, you know, the game has made some very big changes and I need to kind of recollect, re-educate, and reevaluate, it was like, I'm going to continue trying to play it like it's the old Contest of Mayors with minor changes. And really, one minor change makes a huge difference. It really does. And so instead of that happening, a lot of people lost their confidence and they got frustrated and they started to doubt themselves. And when you start thinking like that, you make bad choices. You know, you have to have confidence when you play this. And you have to, if you do mess up, you have to own it. You know, you have to be like, all right, cool, I messed up. And you know what? Why was it a mistake? Learn from that mistake and move forward. Now, what's happening here is something that wasn't super obvious to me at first. So he's been kind of saying that the last, I don't know, about month and a half or 2 months, he has been having a really hard time that he's just been getting swarmed with upgrades. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, we've had a couple weeks where a lot of people had that happen to them. So is it something going on with SimCity, or is it something unique to his particular way he has to choose his tasks? Because everybody has some stuff that they can't do, which makes the tables kind of turn a little bit. Which is why I tell people you need to make sure that you can do everything that comes across your plate. Now, it's your job to analyze and see what you are still able to do. And as you start to level up and unlock things, you're going to start to realize that you are at a point in the game where you have to level up. There is no choice. And I had told him several months ago when he first started training with me, he had made a comment about he was going to stay level 24 forever. And I said, that's not going to be possible. At some point, you will not prevail and you will be, essentially, you'll be screwed. Now, a lot of people think, well, no, that's not going to happen because of this, that, and the other thing. And I'm going to explain to you what's going on here. So if you're somebody who's level 24, you've been camping for a really long time, and you're having a really hard time in the contest, I'm going to explain to you why that is and why you need to level up, okay? All right. And this is for people who actually, you know, used to win and things like that, not people that have had trouble since day one. So here's the issue with this particular player. He has all of his houses fully upgraded, okay? So there is no room at all to even squeeze in one upgrade. Now, when you first start playing the Contest of Mayors, you have several weeks where, you know, you're new to it and maybe you're level 20 and you're able to utilize those upgrades. So when he first started playing, he was level 20. and he had camped level 20 for a little while. So he had from level 20 to level 24 to utilize some of those upgrade features. Now he was playing back on the old Contest of Mayors guide where you could do some of the airports. So that did have an impact, and it did help him win some rounds back then. Now it's advised that you do not do airport. It actually benefits you more to not do airport in long term instead of just short term to win a couple of contests. Now, since then, the VU task, it doesn't spawn a 3K very often. Okay, so back then you could do that VU task, the 3K VU task, like sometimes 10 times in one round of CoM and be fine. Now you're lucky to get it 2 times in one round of CoM, and that made a huge difference, you know. So now it's like, okay, we can pretty much kind of cross off VU in terms of a premium. At the rate that it spawns, it's really not anything that you can depend on. Now we need to cross off cargo because that's a non-premium task. It's not even worth the 2,000 points. So that's really nothing that you would consider anything substantially good. Then you've got epics. Now epics are not worth 3,000 points, right? So he can't do epics because he's already done them all, but you still get the assignment for it. So when he gets an epic task in his list, it's not worth enough to have to cancel, and it's basically there taking up a nice spot in his list and causing nothing but problems. Now he's got war card upgrades. That's an excellent task. It's worth 3K. It's super easy, but guess what? He can't do that one either because he really doesn't have any war cards to upgrade. He's already done so many. Not that he's maxed out by any means. He's not maxed out. But the amount that is required for the level that he is, he would be burning through not only an obscene amount of keys for the level war cards that he does have, but he does not have any war cards to upgrade. So you can cross that nice 3K thing off the list. So when that comes around, he's forced to cancel, thereby plummeting his average. Okay, so he can't do any upgrades of any kind at all. So, okay, now he's got to cancel that too if those get too high. So then we get to war assignments. Those are the only thing he can do. And if he doesn't move quickly, and he, let's say, needs to rely on the last day of the contest or during the cooldown, he has to tiptoe around his war assignments if he even gets any war assignments. So it's a limited time thing. Now the monster, that's not anything premium to fall back on. So then he's got factory production, which he doesn't have electrical unlocked, so he's not going to get a 3K task for that. And he's got sugar and chemicals. Well, sugar can be worth 2,000 points. He cannot afford that kind of downtime because he has to move quickly in order to ensure that he can do his premium war tasks, right? So he doesn't have 3 days to dedicate to doing all these stupid factory tasks. So basically, what the hell is left? Okay, airport. That is ridiculous. You cannot depend an entire round of the contest on airport, right? Because it gets expensive. So now it's gotten to this point where it's like, okay, you basically have nothing. You're trying to open up spots for assignments you can't do, and the little bit of leeway that you get from doing epics, from doing war upgrades, from legendary attacks, you know, things like that, a couple of cargoes here and there, whatever, it really does make a difference. But when you have to depend solely on production, what the hell? No. You're not going to be able to win a round of the contest playing pretty much with only production and war part-time. So he's at the point now where he is losing more than he is gaining by being level 24. Basically what's happening is he's not really able to win anymore because he really can't afford to scramble up his list enough to make anything good happen. And so that's what I fear other people doing. I fear people wasting valuable war card upgrades, or not launching quickly enough and not earning them in time, and thereby you basically think of it like this. Think of it like you have a limited amount of time and resources that you can actually win the contest before you're forced to level. Think of it like that. And if you spend that very limited time upgrading tasks, or upgrading war cards that you shouldn't just to be an avid war player, or upgrading war cards on weeks where you know you're not going to win, or not launching war attacks and getting war cards, and thereby basically doing it backwards, unable to win because you're dinking around going, oh, maybe next week I'll try harder. By the time you get around to it, you've burnt through all your resources, all of your main tasks, and now you're forced to level up. And that's what I fear people doing. You need to make sure that you follow the guide as it's written. If you start to deviate from it, I can't help you. If you start this, oh, maybe next week I'll start to level. Oh, well, okay, so let me ask you this. If you're not level 24 now, and you're, oh, maybe next week I'll start to level, what's happening this week? What's happening this week is your production assignments are going slow, and you're wasting a very valuable week that you could be doing good tasks and getting them done quickly. You're wasting very valuable time where you could be converting epics and trying to win the contest. But instead, you are burning through other resources when you don't have all resources available. So you're kind of like half in half of the time, and then half in the other half of the time, until you're basically all out. When you should have just went all in, all out. All in, get what you got to get done, clean house, and get the hell out. That's what you need to do. Not this, well, I'm going to kind of mosey my way around the house and dink around and screw shit up. And then by the time I manage to get all my ducks in a row, there ain't even a pond left. You know what I mean? People think they can just camp 24 forever and they'll just be fine. No, you can't. Okay? Think about it this way. This is where CPT is at with his game. He is at the point where he has max everything. Okay? Pretty much he's like three upgrades away from storage being maxed out. He is fed up because he probably spent a good chunk of change each and every week that he's lost the contest. Not to mention, you have to play a specific way when you play competitive contest mares. And he hasn't done any design. He's got a lot of resources as far as gold keys, platinum keys, and cash goes. But if he continues on down the path that he is on and doesn't start to level up, what's going to happen to his resources? They're just going to slowly go back to the contest. He's already banked in on it. He needs to just go up. Now, at this time, he is going to go up, in level. But he didn't realize that was what basically was going on. I didn't realize that was what was going on because I haven't even been trying to pay attention. It wasn't until I said, look, I'm really going to help you this week. You're my main mission. I want to see what we got going on here. And I'm seeing that 90% of his choices are correct. And the only choices he's really getting wrong are the super, super hard ones. And a lot of why he's getting them wrong is because he can't do them. So it's like, well, then we're screwed, And in that case, what are we doing here? So now it's like, okay, people think they can camp forever. Well, at some point, this is what's going to happen with your game. You're going to max out everything. Storage, land, whatever, everything. You're going to have all 5-slot factories, and you're going to get to a point with it where you're going to want to design, and you're not going to have any cool trees available. You're not going to have any hotspots available. You're not even going to be able to build certain types of epics because you don't have certain categories available, such as landmarks, such as gambling. I can't remember what level you unlock entertainment, but I believe you guys have entertainment. But there's certain categories that you guys don't have unlocked. So you're limiting yourself to buildings, categories, epics, and now it's like, okay, what reason do you have to not level up? Your algorithm, for what? You don't need rares. You're maxed. Oh, you need Dozer for the regionals, but you unlock that at level 25, right? So if you don't unlock regionals at level 25, and you hold off for now, and you continue to play the contest of mayors from level 24 to 29, and then once you are completely 100% done with the contest, and you've decided, okay, now it's my time to continue going up, hopefully by then you've won a couple more times and you've got a little bit more resources under your belt, because between level 24 and 29, you're going to be able to do some upgrades, you're going to be able to get some epics done, you're going to be able to hopefully earn up some more war cards if you didn't burn through, too many of them, and you're going to be able to alleviate a lot of the blockage on your list here. So, but then you hit level 29, and this is where you really need to assess things, okay? This is where everything is going to take a huge turn, and I'm going to be doing a Missy's Building Guide. I'm just going to call it number 3, and we're going to pick up from there on that video. But as far as the contest goes, I want you guys to understand that when these things happen, you need to look at what's going on in your game specifically and what's going on in the community each and every week. Now, what a lot of people don't understand too is that when they conversate with group members, first off, they kind of lie, and they not like necessarily intentionally, but they have a tendency to exaggerate. For instance, last week the week before last, I believe, I had a guy go into the group and say that he got hit with a lot of upgrades at the very end of the week, and that's what plummeted his average. And I went back and I looked, he had to cancel it twice, the whole round. Within 30 tasks, he had to cancel 2 times. That is not what you would expect it to have happen, to have somebody say that. Now, all of these people that play the contest of mayors were like, oh, well, I only had to cancel like once or twice. I guess he got hit pretty hard. And I'm like, no, he didn't. And I screenshotted it for him. And I had to send it to each and every one of them, proving that he did not, that he was exaggerating, and that everybody's list was still the same, And it's stuff like that. Then you'll see people, like, you ever notice when you're playing the contest and you do finally get somebody that sees another person's list or comment or whatever, like, how often do you really see other people's lists? Before my channel came out, how often did you see people's lists? Never. You never really hear people talk, do you? So it's really hard to determine what is luck, what is technique, and what is going on, right? Well, I do see people's lists. I see each and every one of your guys' lists each and every week. And there is a huge, how do I explain this? There is a huge amount of the same damn thing happening to each and every one of you. But what's so interesting to me is that people, they don't pick up on it. Like, for instance, have you noticed that, one week, all of a sudden, the global market will be flooded with, let's say it's drills, okay? All of a sudden, you start seeing a lot more drills than you normally do, because you never really see drills. And you think, well, somebody must have had a task for it. And so you do finally make a comment. You're like, man, I just had to finish this stupid drills task, or, oh, I need 24 planks to do a cupboards task. And somebody's like, yeah, me too. Or, oh, I just finished that. Notice that? But how often do you really get that task? You probably can't think within the last month the last time you or that other player have had that task, if ever, right? So it's not like, oh, it's just a coincidence that we all just get the same tasks because it's so common. I'm talking like the uncommon things, not the basic, hey, we all had the monster task. No shit, you all have the monster task. I'm talking about the uncommon tasks. The things that really don't make any sense, like a 1,200 nails. If you see 4 people out of 6 people that you're training, and they all have that same task in their list the same week, I mean, that's crazy, right? Like, what are the odds? And then next week and the following weeks and the previous weeks, there was nothing? All of them, nothing? I mean, this isn't just something that I pulled out of my hat and I started to observe. I've been observing this for a very, very long time. Now, if you look very closely, what are the odds that each and every one of these players would get hit with one high war upgrade or a one high war launch attack of some kind? Now, it's the players that are able to do it that are going to be able to get up over the hump and continue to move on. The people that are in war at the time they got hit with theirs, or the people that were fortunate enough to have the monster be there and have it work on the monster, right? So it's kind of like a hit and miss. Basically, sometimes what's happening is you're going through a storm, and what you want to try to do is you want to try to get through the storm as quickly as possible with the least amount of damage as possible to your score, because it will eventually pick back up. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and get this uploaded, and then I'm going to start the Missy's Building Guide 3. But for those of you who are having this particular issue, just realize that a lot of times it is what's going on in the game when it comes to stuff like this. When you start to notice, like, hey, I've been playing CoM a long time, and I'm having a really hard time here. No matter what I do, it's just not giving me what I need. There's a reason for that, okay? And no matter what you do, it's not going to. It's doing what it's going to do, and you need to try to get through it as unscathed as possible, basically. You know, basically it's like we're all going to experience this shitty storm, so try to make the best choices you can while getting through the crappy part of the contest. Okay? Now, some people will notice how sometimes you open up the contest and you just have a really bad list right off the get-go. Like, it's just terrible. Well, that normally means that you have a really good end game. Okay, so like the last couple, maybe 10 tasks or so, last 10 tickets, you get hit with 3K tasks back to back. And that, like I said, that usually happens when you have a really bad start. You got to remember, I have been taking screenshots of my gameplay from start to finish, right? And analyzing, okay, patterns, algorithms, spawn rates, and looking at it going, okay, this week I had a really excellent start, and my average was really good for the first X amount of tasks. Then it starts to plummet, it goes up, it goes down, and it's like a slot machine. It really is. It's like you put 20 bucks in it, and you get up to $200. And then it works its way all the way back down to your $20. And then it's like, do you cash out and try a different machine? Do you cash out at the 200 and go to a different machine? Do you stay and play? Do you increase the bet? Do you lower the bet? You know? And then you have what the damn machine's going to do, what it wants to do, but you do have some control over, you know, the outcome of that. So let's say that you put in $20, right? And you know it's eating your money, but for whatever reason, you sit there and you hit the button, and you hit the button, and it takes that $20. So you put in another $20, and you win $20. So people think, yay, I'm up 20 bucks. No, you just broke even because you already lost 20. So now they get up to 60. They cash out the 60, and they put away their 20 that they put in thinking they're 40 ahead. No, you put in 40, so you only have 20 up, right? So then they put 20 in, put the 40 in their pocket, and then they say, well, now I'm right where I started. If I lose this 20, I'm right where I was when I came in, right? But how many people stop there? They don't. Now, have you noticed those points cards they give you at the casino? And it says, like, you get X amount of points for X amount of dollars played. And then you played, let's say you played $40. But then you go to the counter and they're like, well, you played $400. And they're like, wait, what? Yeah, over time, up, down, you somehow managed to go through $400. So people think, well, I had 400 bucks. No, you didn't. You never had $400. Not all at once. So it's the same general concept, you know, with the contest. People look at their average and they think, well, my average is really, really, really good right now because, no shit, you just started the contest, you had 2 3K tasks in your list, you had a 5,000 monster, you know, I'm obviously double points week, but you sit here and now you're comparing your average to those 3 tasks, right? But you know that that's not going to stay the same. You know the game is going to continue to kind of level you out. It's not going to reward you 100% of the time with 3K tasks. The algorithm does not allow for it. If you clear a 3K task and that's all you clear, you're not going to get 3K tasks and only 3K tasks in return. Now, at some point when you cancel, you have to make up for those points, right? So when people say that they've had a terrible week, and I say, okay, how many times have you had to cancel? And they say, well, like 4 to 5 times. And I say, okay. And then I look at the last of their choices, and the last of their choices have been nothing substantially great. No 3K tasks, no 2,400 tasks. But then they say that their average is like 1,700, right? So they're 300 points down on their main average, okay? So if that's the case, then their contest can't be doing too bad. Because if you think about it, every time you do a task that is worth less than 2,000, that is a hit against your average, right? So if you did a 1,500 point task, you have 1,500 points total, meaning you are 500 points below your 2K average. So let's say the next task is 2,000 points, and you have now 3,500 points. Still, you're 500 low on your average, okay? Your average is still the same, even though you did a 2,000 point task. So the next task you get is a 2,100 point task, bringing your average up 100 points, making it 400 more points for you to have to get back. So the next task, let's say it's 1,000 points. Now you just dropped your average by 1,000 points, plus the 400, right? So now you're 1,400 points down on your average. Then you have to cancel. Now you're 2,000 points down on your average, plus the 1,400. You're 3,400 points down. But now you had to cancel again. Now you're 5,000 points down, 5,400 points down on your average. How many times have you guys had that happen? How many times have you had to cancel twice when your average was already crap? Okay, so now you have to make up 5,400 points before you even go back to your 2K average. Now somehow, over the last 24 tasks or whatever that you've done, you've managed to get your average back up to the 1,700, meaning you're only 300 points below on your average. That is an excellent amount of progress, really, when you think about it, for how much damage you took and how low your average really isn't. The way you're looking at it is so bad, but when you really look at it, look at what you should be doing is you should be watching your average at all. If you really, really want to know, watch your average at all times, okay? What you can do is, this is what I did when I was studying my algorithms on my average. What I did was I had a piece of paper that I kept next to me, and every time I did an assignment that lowered my average, I kept my average next to me. And I would see the pattern of when, okay, this would pick me up, bring me down, pick me up, bring me down. And you will start to notice that you're looking at it. Sometimes people get blinded by the damage more than the reward. So basically, they focus so much on having a good average in a way of like, okay, well, you know, I haven't had any 3K tasks. Do you know how many people I've had in my training course that they get so hung up on not getting 3K tasks that they can't pay attention that they're doing just as good as anybody else without any 3K tasks because of the way the average has evened itself out? But they are so focused on getting those 3K tasks that it blinds their ability to see when they're doing good. You can see when you're doing good by looking at your average, right? But if you go over the last couple choices, and you have it written down on paper, and it's like if you say, okay, 2K average, and then after a task say, okay, 1900 average, meaning 100 points below, and you'll start to say, okay, drop, 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 and then it's like up, 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 drop, 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 and it's like that the whole damn time. Now the question is, can you get it to fluctuate enough to remain doable? Because it's going to go up and down. It's never going to just stay steady, not forever, okay? But it's going to go up, it's going to go down. Now what really hurts you is when you have to cancel, and then you cancel, and you have to cancel again, and then you get hit with a downtime, and then that downtime you made 1 or 2 bad choices, and that's the end of it. Okay, that's when I say that there's choices that you can make that can cause permanent damage. That is usually when that happens, is when you're already down on your average, you're in a bad spell, and you had one chance to make the right decision during this bad time, and you didn't. And that's usually the type of decision that screws you. Okay, that's when people say, well, did I mess up my whole week? And I'm like, no. And that is how I know what decisions mess up your whole entire week and which ones don't. I always knew right away, like within the first 6 tasks of playing the contest, if I was going to win or lose. Just because of how I started the contest. But that's a high level player. That's totally different than a low level player. Now, a low level player, it's more like, okay, during this downtime, for instance, everybody this week, you know what it's going to come down to? It's going to come down to who parked it and who didn't. That's what it's going to come down to. Who decided to stop tiptoeing around that stupid task and all the little 2K tasks around it and parked it and just waited it out? And who didn't? And the people that didn't, that kept trying to make something happen when there was nothing available to happen, those are the people that dropped their average drastically and probably really hurt their score. Now, the people that were able to clear their war tasks, they aren't going to be able to just go unscathed. It's basically to the point now where it's like, okay, you were able to do it, but the task list still sucks. So it really comes down to, were you somebody who made a bad choice and did the factory task when you shouldn't have? Or were you somebody who made the right choice in the hardest time and you made it through? Okay? But you got to remember, everybody else is going through what you're going through. Unless you have some kind of a hacker in your league, you should see everybody's points be roughly the same. Now, what you will notice is people jump up really high points at the beginning, and that immediately makes you think hacker. So if you can do that to the other players efficiently, okay, making all the right choices, you can scare off other people from wanting to try, thinking that you're a hacker. Now, there is a risk with that, and that is that you will or could be reported, but usually SimCity's pretty good about knowing when you're hacked and when you're not, okay? But as long as you're playing legitimately, you'll be fine, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and get this uploaded, and hopefully this helps, because I've seen way too many people have this issue for way too damn long. And a lot of people, they don't understand. They always think it's just them. And it's like, do I need to stick all of you guys into a group chat with the ability to send screenshots and show you guys that you guys are all screwed? It's not just one of you. And that's why I did this video, was to show you guys the screenshots. Go talk to your teammates, and you'll see. You'll see.